Blog Talk Radio.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, and welcome to yet another episode of XANDERMONIUM, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm your host, Xander Gibb, and on today's show, I have the pleasure of welcoming back, yes, by popular demand, comedian Will Noonan, and yes, he will be putting the world to rights with me once again. More about Will in a mere moment. Now, as usual, you can interact with us during this show because we're really high tech here. The chat room at the bottom of the page. If you've not signed up for an account on Blog Talk, you can do that very quickly just by clicking on wrong teeth in today by clicking on Facebook, and that will let you open an account so that you can join in the chat. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what you think. You can call us with your questions also on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061 at any point during this proceedings. If you have a question for me or Will, or you just want to tell me to go fuck myself, which happens occasionally, or you can tweet us. My Twitter handle is @XanderGibb, XANDERGIBB, capital X, capital G. Tweet me if you're too shy, and I will make your point for you. Or you can tweet Will. Will's Twitter handle is @Will Noonan, WILLNOONAN, Will Noonan. Wow, that was a mouthful. So once again, I have to report back to you on the idiocy of the Putin regime in Russia. Their idiocy continues this week with TV presenter Dmitry Kiselyov, who stated that gays should not be able to donate sperm or blood, and that their hearts should not be used as they are unfit for extending anyone's human life. Well, thanks for that, Dmitry, you fuckwit. Now, the show, funnily enough, is called Historical Progress. But I don't know how much progress it's actually making. The program airs on a state-run channel, so that means it's funded by the Putin regime, called Channel Russia 1, and I fear it's just the beginning of the kind of trickle-down hate politics that we've seen elsewhere. This kind of gay-hating agenda has been growing since Putin initiated the new anti-gay laws in Russia, and until other countries and the United Nations and the Amnesty International step in, alas, this is going to continue. As usual, there are always things you can do. Send a message to the International Olympic Committee and tell them that you will boycott the Olympics if they hold them in Russia. Write to your MP or your state representative. Complain online, tweet stuff. There are so many things you can do even without leaving your house. You can be an advocate of change even by sitting on your ass and getting on your computer. So I really do recommend that. I also want you to try and keep an eye on things that are going on in other countries as well, like Bahrain and Syria and Iraq. Civil rights are being violated there every single day. In Bahrain, the ruling classes who are what are they called? They're called Sunni, and the majority of people who live in Bahrain are Shia. So it's one sect ruling another sect. So as you can imagine, it's very difficult. We're going to have in the next couple of weeks someone on from the Bahraini Center for Equality to tell us a little bit more about what's going on there. So do try and be aware of what is going on in other countries, even if you don't think it affects you. It actually does, because, frankly, while we're ignoring the human rights of others being affected, it means that people can come along and affect ours, and they can be eradicated. Hi to everybody in chat. Hi to the guests. Hi to Joe. Hi to Austin. Will is on his way. If I know Will, he's making coffee and making himself something nice to smoke, which I would be happy to share today the way that I feel. Time for a little rant about Sprint. If you're a Sprint customer, please ensure that you check your bill. Now, I've been with them for over 10 years, and I have what's called a grandfather account. So every time I renew my contract, I get to keep my loyalties, like free text, free internet, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I don't text a lot because, number one, I'm a lazy fuck, and number two, I have fat fingers, so it's not the easiest thing to do. I would rather speak on the telephone or email. But this month, they sent me a bill saying that I used 300 text over my usage limitation, which is just the biggest load of BS ever. Now, I've challenged them on this. Now, I really do encourage you to check all of your bills, because companies are doing this more and more, and what they expect is that people will just pay the bill because they're too busy to do anything but little do they know who they're dealing with here with Xander Gibb. I'm quite happy to get on my soapbox and get on the phone and tell them what I really think, not one to shy away from exercising my rights. So what else have I got to tell you about this week, just while we wait for Will to call in? Just a little bit more on the Russia stuff. I was actually talking to someone in a bar last night when I was working who was telling me about the part of the problem is that Russia has had this ideology for so many years about family values, and so this Putin guy is really strict on things about family values. My point to this person was, surely, gay people are actually part of families too. They're someone's son, they're someone's brother, they're someone's partner, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these people are, should be considered as part of family values. Now, the other point to make about this is, as far as I'm concerned, and I harp on about this a lot with regards to the United States, that if you're a tax-paying member of society and you live in a country, whoever you decide to sleep with should not affect the rights that are at your disposal. This is where equality kind of kicks in, and I think that the government would do well to actually honor those rights for everybody, or give people back their taxes. I know lots of you out there would be very happy to get some money back from the government for not honoring the rights that you have been having taken away from you. Okay, so we're just waiting for Will to call in now. He's probably making himself a Camberwell carrot. Let me just check the phone room. No, he's not called in as of yet. Yes, Joe's just saying hi to one of the guests. Hi, guest. Why don't you sign in so you can comment in the chat? It's very simple. You can click the Facebook option, and that will sign you in based upon your Facebook details. It won't take any of your information. It will just let you join on that basis for free. No, you don't get lots of emails or anything like that. I see my guest is in the chat room, so let's do the intro for Will. So, as you know, Will Noonan is not only a fabulously funny comedian, podcaster, writer, even, actor, and porn star. He is also a regular on XANDERMONIUM and the guest most requested to return by listeners. I'm hoping that with today's appearance, he will keep you happy with your fill of will for at least a little while. Anyway, so without further ado, please welcome back to the show the one, the only, the fabulous Will Noonan. Welcome back to the show, Will. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? I ain't got no time for that. So how's it going?
It's going
great,
right,
man. Were you making a little Camberwell carrot there?
Yeah. I can't believe I'm the most requested guest. It's such an honor.
Yeah. When people say, when's this person coming back on, or when's that person coming back on, I get more requests for you to come back than anybody else. But I think that's kind of nice, you know, that people
great.
want you to, like, at least they're not saying, don't get that fucking Will back on the show.
Yeah, no, I would hate that. That's like
yeah,
what,
me
you
too.
know,
Me too.
I would hate if they said, like, anything fucking Will other than I'd rather be fucking Will would be cool. But, you know, like, when fucking's before your
name, you would want a
usually
woman to say that, though. Come on, be honest.
That's true. That's true. But
so you gotta be specific about things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know, a large portion of my listenership are very homosexual. So
yeah, well,
what's been going on with you, Will?
Oh,
sorry.
I said I've noticed the younger kids they don't really say girls and boys as much as we used to. They say persons. Like I heard a guy say. Heard a guy say, "Do you ever sit next to a hot person on the bus and you just don't know how to act?" And I was like, "Wow, you just kept that very, you know, non-specific to be like nice." It's like it's bred into this young generation.
It's very nondescript, isn't it? Because that way as well, you can't tell whether they're saying it was a guy that was hot or it was a girl that was hot, or I don't know. Maybe a generation, maybe older kind of generations have made too much of an issue of it. I mean, I don't kind of have a problem with it, but I think sometimes you do need to be specific because then you know that you're not hitting on someone that's straight or gay or, you know, it's.
Yeah, and it's easy to get a crush on someone, and when you have a crush on somebody, like everything they say can seem like it's a good thing or a bad thing. If you have a crush on someone and you're looking for nice things, like you can see them. So it's nice sometimes to be clear with people. You don't want to lead somebody on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember you being clear with me, Will, saying, you know, stop your advances, Xander, and stop ass. I like girls.
Yeah. You know, I just like to lay down the law.
I think that it's kind of important to do that because then people kind of know where they stand. Because basically, I don't want to spend my time. I mean, you know, obviously, I was joking about you and I, but I don't want to spend my time working with someone that's kind of like, you know, I don't have the right plumbing for, shall we say?
Well,
you know, it's.
I mean, straight women do that to straight men all the time. Like
really?
a woman will have a boyfriend and just really not tell a guy that she has a boyfriend for, like, you know, a month, like, and just think that this guy wants to, like, you know, women always think that guys want to be their friend. Like, no, you know, guys never want to be friends with women. But,
but I have to say it's the same with gay guys. I mean, you know, gay guys will be your friend, but I think that only when you've made it clear that you don't go that way. It's no different really between women and gay men. It's that kind of mentality in a bar situation that you're. Let's face it, most people go to a bar to get drunk and get laid. You know, you don't go there to make friends, do you? I mean, if you're gonna make friends,
no.
you know, you go on the internet for that.
It's so easy now. You can find
it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joe's saying in the chat room she has absolutely no gaydar and that she didn't know that Anderson Cooper was gay. Please, this guy knew Anderson Cooper was gay.
I know.
So,
my mom's like that. She doesn't know, like, she doesn't even think all the queer eye for the straight guys are really gay.
Really?
Yeah, she thinks one or two of them are actors hired to play gay. She's
I mean, that Carson CrossFit makes me look straight. I mean,
I know.
Not many people can do that, but he really does. I mean, he's so gay. He's like uber gay, you know?
There's
he's
a show
dripping
called
homosexuality.
The Chew. Have you ever seen The Chew during the day?
Yeah.
It's like there's a guy on there who's a gay guy on there who my mom, I was like, he's like obviously gay. That's like who he is. And I was just like, I walked in and she was watching the show and I was like, oh, like, what's this gay guy's name? And she's like, which one of these guys is gay? Like she just had no clue. You know what I mean? She just sees everyone the same.
But you know, it's funny. I think I have pretty good gaydar, but like friends of mine, like for instance, Chrissy says she thinks that I think everyone is gay. I don't think everyone is gay, but I can tell if people are a little bit femme. And there's this kind of like terminology in gay circles that like they might not be gay, they might be straight, but they might be a little bit bendable,
Yeah.
So it's, I always things like that funny because there are some people that are like, like I have some friends that are like totally straight. But they're cool with gay people. They'll come and they'll give me a hug in the street. They'll kiss me on the cheek, and they have no issue with that at all because they're totally cool with their sexuality. But I almost always get a bit uneasy when people are weird about it because I think, why do you need to be weird about it? What happened? Did your Uncle Freddie fiddle with you when you were 14, or what is it? I always kind of question that why people kind of like have an issue. But in our industry, there are so many people that are not gay that really kind of like seem like they're gay, and so it's kind of hard to tell, really. And then some of them get a little bit upset when you hit on them. Not that I hit on people much. They get a little kind of upset that you've hit on them, and they're like, "I'm not gay." They're sitting there in their little gay jeans and stuff. Yep, Georgia said, "Oh, very."
Hello?
Sorry, go on.
Oh, what did he say?
Joe is a lady. She said in the chat room, she can always tell if someone is flaming. Is that politically incorrect? But she says, or very butch lesbian.
No, I think that's true, and I know why people get insulted because it's like there's this weird sort of, I don't know if it's gay or straight or anything. There's always that weird sort of, like if even someone says you're a Republican or when you're not, I guess that's kind of insulting too if you're the right person. But it's like no one ever wants to be like misunderstood, but especially when it comes to like the gay straight thing, because there's just that innate like, it's like an attack on your manhood in some way. And I don't think that's what it really is, but I'm sure that's what those guys are saying because in their head they're going, "What are you talking about?" And in my mind, I'm like I'm so straight, I'm so hetero, That it's like they're insulted. You just crush their world because I've been that guy.
But isn't it almost a form of flattery if you're straight and someone who is gay hits on? Isn't that almost flattery because they're not going to hit on you if you're some ugly ass body-faced asshole. They're not going to hit on you if that's the case. Doesn't it say that you're attractive if anyone hits on you,
I always take it as a compliment that I don't look homophobic either. Like, part of, like, I just have so much white guilt and straight guilt that I'm carrying around all the time. I just want to be as nice to people as I can most of the time. So I'm always like, if a gay guy hits on me, I'm like, I'm just glad you felt like I was a safe person to talk to.
Yeah, quite right. Maybe you need to do some voluntary work in the gay community, Will, or something like that.
No, I'll tell you, man. Like I told you once, a guy told me in L.A., a gay guy, he was like, "You have a gay face." He's like, "Your face is just gay."
Face? That's like, I mean, I have a gay ass, but I don't think I have a gay face. So what's been going on with you lately? What have you been doing since we last had you on the show?
I've been doing, continuing to do stand-up comedy. I've had a lot of, like, luck lately with my sort of jokes that I do on Reddit and on the Chive, which is just like my jokes basically over a picture of me. Some stand-up shots is kind of the term people have taken to calling those. And those have been kind of big. I've gotten a lot of good exposure lately with that, so my Twitter following is up, and I've just been working with some cool comedians and just trying to learn as much as I can all the time and just get better and keep growing,
It's funny, isn't it, though, because no matter how good you are, obviously you're doing some pretty exciting shit right now, but no matter how good you are, there's kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for, I want to say citizenship, but that's an apprenticeship almost with any that you do, and I think that it's kind of, there are still some people that are kind of working the clubs like 5 and 10 years later, and they're absolutely brilliant. But I don't think it's just about how good you are. I think it's about who you know, where you get your foot in the door, and who kind of gets to see what you do,
No, it's true. And the the best thing about it is you can learn from great people, and you can also learn from bad people, and great people make mistakes, and bad people do certain things well. So you're just trying to kind of take it all in and see what works and what doesn't work. And you're never going to be perfect, but I don't think that's an excuse to just not try.
No, and I think it's all a work in progress, isn't it? I think that every gig you do is really dependent on how receptive the audience is, because I kind of I haven't done any kind of stand-up or, stuff like that for so long, and I really want to start to do it again. It's just a time factor, but, it only takes a little bit of negativity from the crowd, and it kind of, I don't know about you, but it kind of, you have to fight to get them back,
Oh, yeah. It's, for me, honestly, lately, my kind of, the hard part of it for me has just been the business aspect. The crowds have been fantastic. I haven't had too much trouble with that, but it's how it is, just the hustle of always trying to get work and you're supposed to be, especially as a comedian, it's really hard to maintain the carefree, feel-good attitude you're supposed to have to be a good comedian on stage when all day you're hustling your ass off to try and get work. It can be kind of a tough balance sometimes to just go the other day I was all pissed off about some opportunity that I didn't get, and I was pulling my hair out, and then I was just this has nothing to do with what I really do. You know what I mean? This has I was this has nothing to do with being a good comic or getting funnier. So I just kind of I licked my wounds there for a couple hours, and then I just put it behind me and decided to go write some jokes, because that's all you can really do.
I think the difficulty is that when you do, when you manage yourself, I've managed myself for some time now. Sounds a bit like a gay euphemism, doesn't it? But I'm just about looking for management. Yeah, well, I manage myself. I'm managing myself as we talk, I'm thinking of getting a manager again, but it's so hard to get the right person. I had a manager a few years ago, and basically when you sign a management deal, even if it's an agent management deal, they want a percentage of everything you get, even the shit you get for yourself. And I was getting more than they were getting from me. I was getting more for myself than they were getting from me, and I'm like, why am I still paying you a percentage for the stuff that I'm getting myself, and I'm getting you more? So in the end, I fired this. But I really want to get a manager again, because I think each thing you do kind of takes you up a level, each kind of project you do and stuff. But there's the potential of this guy in LA that might be going to manage me in the future. But I would just like that, like you say, to not have that, because when you do manage yourself, I know you don't have to pay commission to yourself because you get all the money, but you do have all the stress of making sure you've got gigs, making sure the arrangements for those gigs are all, in line. It's a very high stress situation to be doing all that and being the performer too. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it's hard to just being a performer, not counting any of that other stuff. It's really hard to write the act and do it every night and make it better, and just
right.
that is a full-time job and could take up all your time. So then when you add in, like, emailing people and talking on the phone, and not to mention in comedy, it's like certain clubs have, you'll just be sitting at home and someone will call you and say, like, hey, I don't like this guy anymore and I'm not working with any of his people, and now, like, you have to choose between us. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that happen, like, every now and then, too. Yeah, and you're just like, wow, I was just sitting here, and now I'm part of this whole, like, feud, and I got to choose somebody. And either way, I'm losing work.
Sounds a bit like Twitter, actually.
What did you say? I'm sorry, I cut out. The tutors?
No, it sounds a bit like Twitter. You know, like when you're on Twitter and someone's being friends with you, and they expect everyone to choose. It's kind of like grade school, you know. If you're friends with Will Noonan, you can't be friends with me too. I mean, my God, it's scary that this is happening in clubs and stuff too, you know.
Oh, it happens a lot. Like, I've noticed, actually, now that I've been doing this for like almost 7 years, it's like when I look around, I'm kind of like, wow, this happens about once a year. Or once every couple of years, there's kind of like a little shake-up somewhere, and like there's always some kind of like beefs. But clubs open and clubs close, and I've learned that's just kind of the nature of the business.
I think it's always going to be like that, isn't it? Let's face it, you know.
Yeah, and that's why you don't want to burn bridges, and that's one thing. Like, if there's any young actors or comedians out there listening, like, the biggest, don't burn a bridge, because, like, you might be so mad at someone for right now, you might be so mad at them for like a year, but you'd be surprised. You see people 5, 6, 7 years down the line, and people, like, life is long. You know what I'm talking about. You keep running into people over and over again.
You absolutely do. I when I first came back to New York, I did a movie. I won't say which one, but there was a guy working on the set, and it was one of the movies that I had to play a drag queen in. There was this key grip on set. Now, when I'm in character, everyone is kind of fair game. And this key grip guy was saying to me, I was joking with him because he was quite cute, and he said, "Oh, have you ever heard of sexual harassment in the workplace?" And I said, "Yeah, frankly, I have." But he was really rude to me, you know, and I said, "Get him off the set. I don't want him here while I'm here." And then I went to do this other gig last year, and he was there, and he came and apologized to me. He said, "I see what you were doing was part of your character. You were kind of warming up to the role, and I shouldn't have been so sensitive." And I was like, "You know what? That's great. That's fair enough." Shook his hand, and all was fine. A very big star in London said to me once, "You really have to look after people on the way up, Xander, because you're going to need them on the way down." And it's so true, you know? Hello?
Hi, sorry, I lost you there for a second, but I the last thing I heard was you're going to need them on the way down, which is very true.
Yeah. Sorry, Blog Talk is the software on Blog Talk is so shit sometimes. Austin is saying
it might be me, actually. I'm trying to. I just.
Right.
Was in the car,
maybe it is. I always. Austin in the chat room. We need a Killer Tranny revival, and he said that you were probably hitting your bong while this was all going on. Allegedly,
no,
of course.
I'm just getting into my parking
Will,
spot
tell
here.
us about this fascination with wrestling.
Oh my goodness! You know what's so funny about that? I just felt kind of embarrassed about my new fascination with wrestling, because I was talking to my mom. I know. Well, I was talking to my mother, like I do on Sundays usually, and I was like, she's like, what are you doing today? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, you're not going to go see any wrestling? Because that's what I've been doing so often lately. And I was like, wow, I go see wrestling so much that my mom is expecting me. That's what I'm doing on a Sunday. So it's slightly embarrassing, I guess.
So what do you think about this this last week? I always find this interesting because a couple of months ago, this what was his name? Jason Collins came out as being gay. I think he was a ball player. Now this last week, a wrestler came out as being gay. This really hot black guy called Darren Young.
Darren Young, yeah.
And he's this 238-pound guy, and you wouldn't fuck with him in the street, as in, I don't mean literally. I mean, you wouldn't you wouldn't want to fight with him. And he was interviewed the other day, and he said, I'm gay and I'm happy. And I was kind of really, I was brimming with pride as the older gay uncle that wants to fuck him kind of thing. But I'm kind of intrigued as to how the other wrestlers will react to this. Because obviously it's like one-on-one contact sport. But I've seen some interviews afterwards with people that work with him, and they're like, he's still great at what he does. Why does he sleep with? Make a difference. And I was like, great, we're finally getting somewhere with sports because it's such a heterosexual environment. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, and I also think though that wrestling is wrestling's probably more showbiz than sports. Those guys, I'm sure he may be the first openly gay WWE wrestler, but he's definitely not the first one to be gay and to be gay to all his coworkers. I just think he's the first one to because a lot of those guys are very hip and very like artistic in their free time. I was really surprised to find that out kind of recently. And
I didn't realize.
I was gonna say John Cena's the spokesman of the whole. I mean, he's like their biggest star. He's the spokesman of the whole thing, and he was the first guy to talk about it. And they caught him on the street, and he first covered for the guy. They were like, "Oh, what do you think about Darren Young being gay?" And they were like, "Darren Young's, he's not gay." And then they were like, "No, he came out this afternoon." And he was like, he made a face like, "Oh, Darren came out." And then he was like, "Well, I love Darren." And then he kind of like, just said like he's a great worker. We all know, or he didn't say we all knew, but he kind of gave that impression. And if he's cool with it, everyone else will be cool with it. I wouldn't be surprised. Tonight is the biggest pay-per-view, since that happened. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a standing ovation tonight from the crowd as well.
Well, I followed him on Twitter just because he came out, which might seem really silly, but I just have this theology in 2013 that you shouldn't have to be in the closet in 2013 and have to lie about who you are, unless you're a Catholic priest, of course, but, maybe we won't today on the Catholic priest thing, but I think just in sports, the other thing I was wondering is Darren Young going to get a phone call from the president, like Jason Collins did? And if he doesn't, will he be able to sue for discrimination?
That would be appropriate, though, like a pro basketball player gets the phone call, but a wrestler is kind of too trashy to get the call. Like the vice president calls you. Maybe Joe Biden
or Hillary even, I mean, we're just calling to congratulate you on being a homo.
You know what's funny though? His character in wrestling was kind of like a straight guy who loved ladies, who was kind of metrosexual and into his hair and like Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus music and stuff. It was kind of an interesting choice. That
would kind of be my only criticism. I think he's a really good-looking guy, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I like black guys, but his afro is too his afro is just not right. I mean, get a haircut.
But that's part of his. That's part of his shtick. Is he comes out with an afro pick in his hair? Yeah, he has an afro pick in his hair that he uses. But he's in the stage of wrestling right now where he's a rookie, so he wouldn't be getting great. You kind of have to earn cool stuff in wrestling. They don't give you cool shit when you first come in. You kind of have to have a corny character for a little while until you earn your spot.
Well, look how long it took. What's that guy called with the bald head and the blonde hair? Had a reality show. Oh God.
Oh, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan. Yeah, look how long it took him, and he was doing shitty stuff for long enough, and then he got a couple of TV deals and did Rocky, and And then it all kind of,
back then guys would wrestle for 10 years before you ever even saw them on TV for the first time. You know, they'd be like wrestling in like the traveling circuit.
But you know, it really amazed me. When I lived in England, one of the things that I used to enjoy doing was going to wrestling, and I'm not going to tell you for why. But one of the wrestlers said to me that most of the stuff was staged, you know, because if not, they'd end up getting really, really badly hurt. I know they get hurt sometimes anyway. But apparently most of it is staged. Most of it is like, you know, set up.
Yeah, well, they have, you know, I had a podcast. I had a wrestler as a guest on my podcast last week, actually, and we kind of talked about some of that stuff. But it's like the way it kind of works is, as I've kind of figured out, is that like they know who's going to win and they know who's going to lose, but they really don't. The rest is kind of up to them. So the two guys together, they each have their own set of skills, and they sort of design, like choreograph a match together, and then that's how you know. That's how like the real fans kind of have their favorite guys. It's not really about who's going to win or who's going to lose. It's about like who's a great wrestler and who's good at what they do. It's kind of like ballet. You know, people have like their favorite ballet dancers.
It's theatrical, isn't it? It's like theater, really.
Oh, it's Xander. It's so weird, man. Because like I was not a fan. Like I never had anything against it. I was never like down on it, but I was just not really a fan. But then I started watching it with a couple buddies of mine up here, and then when I was on the road, I started watching it because I was just bored. And then once you know the storylines, like a soap opera, it's riveting stuff. And going to see it live is like really exciting. Even the smaller $15 shows.
Haven't been, but there's a real vibe about it, isn't there? You know. And some of these wrestlers are like celebrities, you know? Like after they, you know, kids line up outside the dressing room to get their autographs and things like this. I mean, I think it's kind of comical, really, but it's, you know.
Well, you know what's funny to me is in this like age of totally fake reality, like reality television and the Real Housewives and all this stuff, that's just pro wrestling without any wrestling, you know? People are just watching a bunch of people kind of have heightened fake fights that are based on a flimsy reality. So it's kind of the same thing. And it's actually just more entertaining because it's like watching a Yankee game, but you know there's going to be a couple brawls and it's going to be close and it's going to come down to the wire, you know? It's just like, it's exciting stuff.
I really think that reality TV is on the way out. Joe just was saying in the chat room that it was the soap opera aspect for her, and she had to tune in to see what happens next. And apparently she's saying her kid quit before her, you know, like she was still into it even after her kid wasn't.
It's right now would be a perfect time to get back in. It's great.
You talking about with regards to reality TV?
Oh, I was talking about wrestling. She's talking about reality?
No, she's talking about wrestling, but I thought your response was to do with what I said about reality TV on the air.
Oh, no. I was saying right now is a great time to get into wrestling. But, you know, I agree with you on reality TV. I think it's on the way out. I think people are getting sick of it, but I don't think it's gone. I don't think it's ever going to go away. There's always going to be that genre. There's always going to be like a reality channel.
But there's far too much of it now, isn't there? I mean, one of the things I was going to mention to you about was, have you booked into rehab with regards to Breaking Bad ending on September 29th?
Have I looked into rehab, as they say?
Yeah, have you booked into rehab? Because I know you're a big fan, aren't you, of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan, but I'm more like a fan of making jokes about Breaking Bad, about their dedicated fan base. Because but yeah, that was like my highest viewed joke on the internet is like this joke I did about Breaking Bad, and I said, you know, I don't watch it anymore because I'm a real fan. I got addicted to crystal meth and I sold my TV. Yeah,
I saw that. That was really funny. Do you find people steal your? You see, I do some of these. I do something similar to you. I do this thing called Xander's Random Thoughts because I get some real funny shit coming out of my head, And I have to put it down, and I want to share it, but I find that people steal your stuff, and they kind of like, they try and kind of make it to be their own,
Yeah, they do too.
Is that really why you do that? Is that why you do that with those pictures and stuff, with those graphics?
Well, yeah, that does help, because what ends up, like this last time, this was probably like my 5th or 6th one that really got like a lot of attention, and it was like some kid, people on Twitter will steal it, but then what ends up happening is other people will notice that they stole it, and then they'll kind of bust them for you. Because I ended up figuring out people were stealing the tweet from other people, just like kind of hashtag or like mentioning me in their replies. So like some kid got like 400 retweets off my joke.
Wow.
But you know what it is like that sort of stuff kind of bothers me a little bit. But I usually do topical jokes when it comes to this kind of stuff, so I don't really mind that much. And like it comes back around to me. Most of the time, people will figure out who it really is.
Yeah, I kind of hate that mentality where people, like, a couple of weeks ago, someone said, they were discussing in a chat room on another show, this guy said he came up with the name for your show, XANDERMONIUM. I'm like, I've been using it for years,
Yeah.
So how anybody recently, even since I've been doing this show for a year, has come up with the name XANDERMONIUM. I just think, real people know the real shit, and so I think mostly you don't have to defend bullshit like that, really.
And also in comedy, like if you have something that gets to like 1 million views or like 60,000 views, it's like eventually people will just start going like, oh, you stole this joke because it's about the weather, and like Bill Cosby does jokes about the weather. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like people are either going to steal it or say you stole it or just say it's not funny. And it's just like, that's something in the past year I've gotten really I've gotten better at just not giving a shit about what idiots on the internet want to say. I just listen to Joe and other smart people who listen to this show.
Absolutely.
The dummies.
I'm talking of Joe. Joe wants to know if you've watched Talking Bad. What is Talking Bad, Joe, or do you know what it is, Will?
It's it's like the after show, I think. I don't know who hosts that. I know the guy who's Talking Dead is Chris Hardwick. I haven't watched that actually. I'm very I usually watch my television at like 3 a.m. on DVR.
Me too. And I've gotten into this weird habit of I like save up 5 or 6 episodes and then watch them all at once. Because then I can fast forward through, get rid of the adverts, et cetera, et cetera. And I can't be can't be fagged now with stuff with adverts and stuff. It's just I really can't be bothered with it. I think we live in that kind of fast mentality lifestyle now. We want it now, we want it quickly, and we want fries with it too.
No,
so did you hear this week they've admitted the existence of Area 51?
Yes, I did hear that.
What did you think to that? I mean, I think that we're now going to hear lots more stuff because it's about this Freedom of Information Act or something like that. For years, people have been saying, paranormal enthusiasts and stuff have been saying about its existence, and the government has said, oh, no, there's nothing like this. But they actually know exactly where it is now, but I don't know if they're going to actually let people see what they've collected, because I reckon they've probably got boxes of dead aliens and aircraft and all of this. But if that came out, I think there would just be too much. People would be quite scared, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean that would throw imagine just the religious furor that would erupt, because every religion would be claiming the aliens as theirs. And, because that would be my biggest, say I were the president of the United States and someone came into my office and was like, should we tell the American people about aliens? And I'd be like, maybe not right now, because, the economy is so bad and, everything's so fucked up. Are we really going to, make them question everything and make them that, they're going to come to Earth? But
I mean, I think the only time that they would really let us Yeah, the only time it would be in our interest is if there is a potential of invasion. But I think if there is other life out there, which there probably is, they're probably far superior to us in every way, and are so beyond attack and fighting. You know, they could probably look at you and your dad.
Do you want to hear? You want to hear a crazy theory? I heard someone else's crazy theory. There's a theory going around right now that, you know how we are making robots continually better, like just all the time. The robots are getting better. Their intelligence is getting better. One of the theories, you know how everyone always says if we make the robots too good, eventually they'll take control of the world. Like they'll get smarter than us. They'll get emotions.
It's the Borg theory, isn't it?
That's one of the theories. The other possible theory that some scientists have come up with is that we'll create robots. They'll become smarter than us, and they'll abandon us. They'll make a gigantic spaceship or multiple spaceships and just leave the planet because they're so smart they realize that they can do other things. And that those same scientists, their theory is that the life that has visited us and the things that have visited us are robots from other planets that are ahead of us. That, you know what I'm saying? They created robots that are super smart, and their robots abandoned them, and that's what's visiting us. Pretty crazy.
I think that is a distinct possibility. What was the other theory?
The other theory was that they're time travelers, which I thought was pretty cool. That's why they always try and, like, when people see a UFO, it immediately just disappears and doesn't make contact or anything like that because it's time travelers and they don't want to affect things too much. I don't know about that one.
I suppose that's theoretically possible if time travel were possible. But I think that as human beings, we only think in terms of what we actually know. We can't think so much outside of the box. Because I wish time travel were possible. I mean, I'd go back to the late 80s and you know, be sitting in my bedroom with my Walkman and my posters on my wall and watching the X-Files, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, I've seen some weird stuff, man. Like driving around at night. You know, I do. I'm always on the road in the middle of the night, and I've seen. Yeah, I'm pretty stoned most of the time, so no one would believe me.
Hey, have you ever driven stoned? There is this theory. I've done it. Not since I've been back in the States, but when I lived in London, I've driven stoned before, and my driving is better when I'm stoned than when I'm sober. Yeah,
whenever I make a boneheaded mistake in my life, it's when I'm not stoned. It's like I think when I'm stoned, I pay close attention to things.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I used to drive to the store for munchies and make my partner go in because I couldn't face anybody, but I could drive. But you know what it was like? It was kind of like being in a movie. Do you know what I mean? I can't explain.
No, you're absolutely. No, it's like a movie or a video game type.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an alternate reality kind of situation. But I think
speaking of wrestling, I had a problem with that. I went to a wrestling thing a few weeks ago, and I got really stoned before I went. And I get inside, it was just too intense.
I would just because you it's kind of like you feel it. You know, like some things you watch on TV when you like. I watched this episode once of Star Trek Voyager where they went faster than the speed of sound or light or whatever, and they were everything, and they felt everything. But I felt that too watching it stoned. Yeah. You know, it was such an amazing. That's what they need to invent, stoned vision. You know, like 3D stoned vision. That would just be absolute perfection. Austin saying he grew up in Roswell. Scary shit.
Oh, that's right there. That's right. Isn't that right?
Is that true, Austin, or are you joking? Joe's saying, do they have pilgrimages and stuff, and people always coming to look for aliens? I'd like to go to Roswell. But apparently there are tours of these kind of places. If they start doing tours of Area 51, we have to go. Well, we have to get stoned and go around Area 51 and have like a ghetto blaster with the X-Files theme song on it.
I had a friend who went there and tried to like take some photos, and he said he got right to the sign and a car came and told him to get the hell out of there. Like like a black SUV came down and was like, "Get out of here," and he did.
It does really make you kind of wonder what they've got what they've got in there. What are they trying to hide?
Well, if you look at some
it's
of
probably
the
a cover, and it's probably it's probably aircraft that they've developed, or it's probably storage space for Obama's drones or something. Sorry, Baz.
Yeah, no kidding. Or not to mention maybe some really secretive, like biological weaponry or some sort of bad stuff they don't want people to know about.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Let me just give out the number in case anybody does want to call in. The number is 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. I was just thinking about Jimmy Noonan. He hasn't called for a while when you've been on. Have you heard from him? How's he doing?
He's doing good. You know, he used to work with the WWF as a security guy for years.
Really?
Pro wrestling. Yeah, he knows a lot about pro wrestling. He's
a very nice, down-to-earth guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
You know, lots of people you meet on the internet. You know, I've met some really nice people, but a lot of people are just so far up their own ass they can see their kidneys, and you would never kind of want to interact with them in real life. But he's you know, I'd like to buy him a beer. Do you know what I mean? He seems like that kind of guy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, he's a great guy. He's good.
Joe's asking who? Jimmy Noonan, who's an actor and stuff, and he has the same last name as Will, and he sometimes calls in when Will is on the show. Will, let's do some quick fire questions. Are you cool with that? Alrighty.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, they're not too personal. They're not about penis size or tongue technique or anything like that. All right. Which action movie star do you most associate with?
Which action movie star do I most associate with? Is that what you
Yeah.
I guess Matt Damon in The Bourne Identity. Matt Damon's from, he's from my town. I always kind of, if I were to play like an action role, which I don't really know if I ever will, but if I ever did, I'd probably look at that movie and try and, I always thought Matt Damon was really cool in that movie.
They keep offering them to me, but I just can't, I can't do the action roles anymore. Okay, next question. Right? Yeah, that was a joke, obviously. Chicken or fish?
What's the next one? Sorry, there's a little girl looking at my window.
Chicken or fish? Was a girl walking by?
A little, like a 5-year-old just came right up to my window and just lifted and said hello. I was like, hello.
Crazy shit happens, doesn't it? Okay, next question. Chicken or fish?
Definitely chicken. I like both, but, you never know with fish, so I'd go chicken.
Yeah, I never go for fish myself. All right, Madonna and Gaga are drowning. You have one spare lifebelt. Who gets it?
Oh. Right now, I'd go with Gaga because she's got years of great music left to make.
Absolutely. What do you think? Her new album's going to drop next week, and I heard this song called Applause from it, and it's so different from anything that she's ever done, but in a way she's going to have to be a bit like Madonna, isn't she? She's going to have to keep inventing herself. But I think that's going to be very hard because she seems quite depressed to me at the moment. I mean, maybe it's all like
she's got great fans, though. Like, when you have a great fan base like she has, even if she completely fell off the map as far as, like, the regular, TMZ type fame, she'd be able to be like the Grateful Dead, she'd be able to pull and sell out shows.
Right.
I think.
No, I don't doubt it. She's really she's really done well for herself. All right, next question. Favorite radio talk show?
Howard Stern.
Thanks,
I love Howard Stern.
All right.
Yeah. And my favorite internet radio is XANDERMONIUM.
Too fucking late, dude. All right, boxers or tidy whities?
Boxers or nothing at all. I haven't worn tidy whities in years, and if I'm out of clean underwear, I just go. In the summertime, I'll often go to nothing.
Commando. 3 celebs, living or dead, would you invite to dinner, and what would you serve?
3?
Yeah.
I would invite Richard Pryor, Larry David, and I'd probably invite James Dean. Those would be the 3 people I'd want to meet. And I think I'd serve. It would be tough to pick 3 because there's so many I want to meet, but I think those 3 together would have a great conversation. And,
yeah, definitely James Dean.
And then to eat, I guess, you know what, I'd probably want breakfast. I'd probably want pancakes, bacon, and coffee. I like breakfast conversation more than you know, like
Me
when people
too.
are drinking coffee. I like when people are drinking coffee and they're kind of hyped up.
You can't beat that. You know when you've done a gig and it's kind of like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning and you're at some crummy diner and everybody's like ordering bacon and eggs and shit they really shouldn't be eating at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the conversation, I kind of live for that. I like that. Element.
You and me.
Of like,
we've had many of those. We've had many dinners at like 4 a.m.
We have indeed. I mean, I don't work in the city so much anymore, but certainly when we all used to work at this one bar, I used to love to go to the diner on 76th and 1st, 4-star diner. There you go, free shout out
those
for
were
them.
Good times. Yeah, that was fun. Paying $17 for like 3 strips of bacon.
Yeah, because they always used to say, this is what I hate with going out with people, when you don't drink and stuff and everyone's had like 12 shots and they go, we'll just split it 4 ways. And it's like, you want to split it 4 ways? You know, you have had $60 worth of liquor and I'm supposed to fucking, subsidize your liquor fetish.
I know. I fucking hate that shit.
Me too. Next question, because they always end up making you feel like you're greedy when you're not. Next question, favorite color?
Blue or red. I like them both. I've been big into red this year, wearing it, but if I had to pick, I'd say blue, I guess. Blue's my favorite.
All right, pizza or Indian food?
Pizza. I don't even... My girlfriend's name is India, but I don't eat Indian food very often. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of spicy food.
Does India like Indian food?
She does. She likes spicy food more than I do.
Yeah, I like Indian food, but I haven't found a good Indian restaurant in New York. It's all very kind of, it's all very zhushy. It's not like proper Indian. It's like Indian with a touch of this or a touch of that. I mean, just give me some Indian food, for frick's sake.
I was going to say, the only time I've ever
New York
had
or Boston?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
I was going to say, the only good Indian food I've ever had was in London. So if I had to pick Indian food, I'd pick London.
Right? When I lived in London, there was this one place, and they made the best chicken tikka masala ever. They have a photo of me on the wall in there. Not because I used to buy so much, but because they considered me to be a local celeb. But,
nice.
they had a picture on the wall to say that I was one of their customers. Probably not there anymore, but...
No, I love, London. It's probably one of my favorite cities in the world.
Where in London were you? Were you in central London, or were you in a particular area?
I think I was in pretty close to central London, but I was staying right near the London School of Economics. I remember I was staying in their dormitory for the summer.
Ah, right. Yeah, my sister did that once when she visited London, because they rent them out cheap, don't they? When they're
really cheap. And it was great.
New York or Boston?
I'm going to have to take Boston, but by a very slim margin. Both cities are my favorite. I mean, I consider them both kind of like home. I consider myself a New Yorker still, too. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think I'd have to say Boston just because, in the winter and in the fall, Boston's just so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful city. It's like New York with space.
I still haven't been. I really want to Boston and
Beantown.
What?
I gotta come up. It's called Beantown. You said I've never been. I was like, it's Beantown.
I thought you said Paula Dean Town. I was going to say, dude, Boston. That's scary. But one of my friends, I can't even think who it was this last week, but they had pictures on their Facebook page of the actual Cheers bar in Boston, and so it is still there, right? I know it's not it's not kind of really much, but it would be interesting to go to that and go down the stairs and see what's going on there. But
yeah, I did a video there.
No.
I have a video. I have like a sketch that I did there once.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of like even right now I'm staring at the ocean. I drove down to like this old Revolutionary War monument. There's a lot of history in Boston to come check out. It's a beautiful city.
I'm batting Boston Scrod.
Yeah, we got all that.
All right, next question. Law and Order, special victims or criminal intent?
I just think the special victims actors are the best, but the content is rough, like the rape and stuff like that. I don't really like that as much, but what's her name?
Yeah.
There's no better than Stabler and
Hargitay?
Yeah, Hargitay. Hargitay? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Hargitay. Hard to say.
Jane Mansfield's daughter. That's who she is. Right?
Yeah, she is, and she does look like her too. Do you know? I've always wondered if they made a movie of Jane Mansfield's life, if she would play her, because that would be pretty surreal because she does look like her.
Yeah, that'd be great. She does look like her. Natalie Wood's daughter did that. She played Natalie Wood in a movie.
Did she?
They should do that. Yeah.
So that would be.
I wonder.
She died. She didn't. She wasn't she married to Robert somebody or other.
The guy from Robert Wagner.
Robert Wagner.
Wagner.
Yeah. Yeah, they still don't know what happened to her. Well, she drowned, didn't she? But they still don't know how it actually happened.
Yeah.
A mystery. All right, next question. Favorite movie?
Oh, man. I think my favorite movie is probably Caddyshack.
Really?
Because it's just got so many funny people in it. That's definitely probably my favorite comedy. But yeah, there's so many movies. Ghostbusters, that's another one I could watch anytime.
Ghostbusters, but not Ghostbusters 3. Ghostbusters 1 and 2 were great, but when it got to Ghostbusters 27, it was like, give it up already, you know?
Yeah, those are the kind of movies I like. Dumb and Dumber, Naked Gun. I can watch those movies all day.
I bet you like Coming to America too, don't you?
I do. That's right in there.
I love the movie. All righty, next question. The Cosbys or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Oh, no fucking question. The Cosbys.
Right.
Probably. Not just the greatest black show, just the greatest show. Like, it's just such a, like, the greatest family show, greatest family sitcom. My whole family used to sit around and watch The Cosby Show. Such a good show.
The Huck.
Yeah. The Huxtables.
All right. Joan Rivers or Kathy Griffin?
Joan Rivers, even though I think that's a good, like, you know, those two go together well. Like, Kathy Griffin is sort of the new Joan Rivers, so I'm going to go with Joan Rivers just because she's got the longevity and she's been around a long time. But, you know, when Joan Rivers dies, we'll have Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, and I think Kathy Griffin will be, like, you know, working till she's 112, won't she? You know, she works like a fucking trooper. She's out every weekend doing clubs. I mean, I don't know that I could... I don't know that I
love
could
her,
handle
by
that.
the way. Like, I don't...
Kathy Griffin?
Yeah, I think she's great.
Me too. Yeah, I love her. I would really like to... they did this competition a few years ago where if you gave a big enough donation to charity, you got to go to States Rehearse for the weekend, and I would have loved to have spent the weekend with Kathy Griffin. That would have been... Just some of her terminology, you know, the way she talks about herself and other people... I just like that realness of her because I get that she is actually like that. She's not just like putting on for the. No,
definitely. It's hard to do what she does. She makes it look really effortless to just go up there and talk. And, you know, that's not an easy thing to do and entertain at the same time.
No, it's not. But I do think the more you do it, it's funny, like when I started doing this radio show again, I'd actually forgotten how eloquent I actually was and how well I could. Because
no, you're right.
Because you do forget that. All right, favorite TV show.
My favorite TV show?
No, tell me what you were going to say.
When I don't do my podcast for a couple of weeks, I always notice that I lose a little bit of my. I'm just not as articulate as I normally am.
Right.
It's like it's kind of like you're weightlifting your voice.
And I think as well, it's like the first 5 minutes of the show, I'm always kind of warming up to it, and then I really get into it, and I'm just kind of go, really just go for it.
Yep.
All right, favorite TV show?
Probably Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Both Larry David created shows. I really like that kind of subtle, observational type stuff.
Great. I love Seinfeld.
Yeah. If I had to pick a non-comedy, I really like to watch kind of like serious murder. Like I like those shows where they a serial killer killed a bunch of people and they show how they figured out the case and found them. Like Notorious. Yeah. I like that kind of stuff. I read a lot of books. Like I like true crime stuff.
Right. Okay, Walking Dead or Breaking Bad?
I would go with Breaking Bad on that. They're both good shows, but Breaking Bad's superior as far as performance, acting, And the
final question. Say again, sorry?
I just said better actors, that's all.
Right. Yeah, I've never watched either, but people are like, "You're mad. How come you've never watched Breaking Bad?" But the trouble is, if things are on at the same time as something else that you watch, you're going to pick one or the other. And if you don't get into the other, you never start to watch it. You have to watch things pretty early on for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like that now. And nowadays, it's like if it's in 3 or 4 seasons, you're like, oh well, I'm already too far behind, and it'll take me forever to get up.
Mind you, I have to say, with Frasier, it was totally the opposite for me. I started watching it when I lived in the UK, and wasn't that. But then I watched a really good episode and thought how highfalutin the comedy was, what kind of level it was at. But it kind of reminds me a bit of what's that called, that TV show, The Big Bang Theory. I watched a bad episode of that and never wanted to watch it again, but then I happened to be at someone's house and they were watching a really good episode. I was like, wow, this is funny stuff, Oh,
wow. See, I've never seen an episode that I thought was funny, but I've only watched it a couple times, so maybe I should give it another chance.
Weird. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? All right, final question in the quick fire. You love what?
I love sitcoms. Like I'm not
Me
down
too.
on them. Yeah. All right, final question.
Yeah, I have a really funny sitcom that I've been shopping around for long enough, and the tide is kind of turning. There's a real kind of need out there for more sitcoms, and nothing ever replaced Will and Grace. As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't like it. There's been no gay replacement. Joe is saying something in the chat room about. She said she never ever liked horror type shows before ever, but Walking Dead is just the greatest. And she said she did that with a show called Earl. Do you mean something about Earl, or I can't think of what it's called?
My name is Earl.
My Name is Earl. That's it.
Yeah.
There's some funny characters in My Name is Earl. I never watched the full series, but I watched a few episodes. Okay,
did you ever
final
watch Malcolm
question.
in the Middle?
Yeah, I did actually. I love Malcolm in the Middle. I'm a big fan of Jane. Is it Katzmarek or something? Her name is.
Yeah.
Because Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad was in that too, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's great in it. He's the best thing on it. But that show is hilarious. Anytime it's on, I watch it.
Yeah, brilliant show.
Also,
and someone was pointing out the other day that Bryan Cranston was also in Seinfeld, and he played Tim something or other, the dentist.
Yeah. That was him, yeah. I can't remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name either, but it's funny how all these connections kind of start to
he's been working a long time, that guy. He's a veteran of acting.
Malcolm in the Middle, though, was really good. I think it was a bit of a launching pad for a lot of the people in that. But then some of them you don't see anymore. Like the kids, they haven't seen them in anything
like
of late.
Yeah.
What?
That's tough. I said like Malcolm, he's done.
Yeah, kind of like some of the kids from Roseanne. The girl, what's her name? Sarah. Oh, her name escapes me. She's a talk show.
Gilbert.
She's on the talk now.
Sarah Gilbert.
Sarah Gilbert, that's right. She's on the talk, but and Sarah Chalk, who played one of the Becky, she's on stuff occasionally, but you don't really see a lot of the others on stuff, which is a shame because I actually thought that they were all very good actors, on the TV show Roseanne. Joe just mentioned Roseanne in the chat room, which is why it popped into my head. All right, let's give you this final question in the quick fire section. Oprah or Ellen?
Oh, man, that's a tough one because I love them both. Ellen's funnier, but Oprah's more like a mother to me.
Really? A black pot-smoking mother, that's just what you need, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Who complains at stores a lot.
Geez, I don't know, man. That's a really tough one. I think I'm going to have to go with Ellen just because she's a comedian like me, and we're, like, in that part of that brotherhood together, but I really do like them both.
Great.
So,
have you seen that movie yet that opened in, that Lee Daniels the Butler or whatever it is?
I'll probably see that when it comes out on HBO.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I think that's a part of getting older. I don't go to the movies as much. I'm like, no, I'll wait till it comes out on TV. I'm still waiting to see the second Sex and the City, but apparently I missed nothing.
Yeah. I usually see horror movies and action movies in the theater, but if it's a drama or something that's not a lot of special effects, I'm like, I'll just see it when it comes out.
Yeah.
On TV.
I get that. Yeah, well, that was the final question in the quick fire section. I notice we've gone over our time, but I wonder if to finish off you'd like to play another little game. Don't worry, it's not Marry, Fuck, or Kill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Celebrity word association, and we'll do this to end. So basically, I will say the name of a celebrity, and you say the first word or phrase that comes into your head, and you don't have to give me an explanation for it or to tell me it's why. Just wham bam, this is what you think of when you think of that person. Okay, first name, Lady Gaga.
Sunglasses.
Bryan Cranston.
Bald.
Alec Baldwin.
Yelling.
Lisa Lampanelli.
Dress. That's what I thought of. Her skirts that she wears.
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
I don't know what he looks like, so I just pictured a Mexican man, which I'm sure is not what he looks like.
No, he's this little French homosexual that sells cologne.
Yeah, with the big black sunglasses. And now he's really skinny. Yeah, he used to be really fat, and now he's really skinny. So I picture black sunglasses.
All right, Joy Behar, and don't say unemployed.
Funny. That was the first word I
Vladimir Putin.
Homophobe.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah. Saint.
Tilda Swinton.
Skinny, which is true.
She's very skinny, isn't she? John McCain.
Oh, sunburn.
Demi Lovato.
Whore.
Giuliana Rancic.
Oh, that's, I just feel sad because she's always dealing with something. I feel so bad for her. She's always like,
but I think,
the word courageous is what I think of, because she's courageous and strong, that woman. She's always dealing with something.
Something going on, but I always wonder whether it's that she's got more going on than everybody else, or they just heighten it all for the sake of the reality show,
I do know that some people in Hollywood who are famous have gotten sick and stuff and not told anyone and just dealt with it quietly.
Right.
There are as many people that get cancer and you hear about it. There are people that get cancer and stuff and you never hear about it. So it's kind of like, maybe that's true, but I think she just has. She's had adversity every turn of her life. So, I watched that show. I like them. They're good. They're a couple good people.
Yeah, I like them too. I actually think that when celebrities kind of come out with stuff and they say things that they're experiencing, it's often helpful. I can't remember who the guy was. Oh yeah, God, it was what's his name, wasn't it? The bike rider who had prostate cancer. So all these guys were going to get their prostate checked. What was his name?
Yeah,
the
Lance.
guy that was. Yeah, Lance Bass.
Lance Armstrong.
Lance Bass.
Yeah.
That was funny. Lance Armstrong.
He likes to get his prostate checked as well.
Yeah, Lance Bass. Yeah, he was around here last week. I gave him a free prostate check. I'm not going to tell you what instrument I. Yeah, absolutely.
Lance Bass once. Nice guy. Nice dude.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he came into Brother Jimmy's sometimes when I used to work over there.
Joe's saying something about, what are you talking about now before the prostate?
We were talking about Giuliana Rancic.
Yeah, that's right. All right, next name for you, Will. Arsenio Hall.
Oh, I think. Remember that?
I just loved him in that Coming to America movie where he played that black woman that really wanted to jump Eddie Murphy's bones. That was just a piece of acting. Where did he disappear to? I know he went off and had a family and stuff, but he is a very good actor, and I wish him well and hope he starts to do some. I used to follow him on Twitter, but he's not got such. This is the thing about some comedians on Twitter. I don't think they've got a very good sense of humor. I always used to say to him things like, "I loved you in Roots" and stuff like that. He would not respond, but I think. Why are comedians so unfunny on Twitter, Because if someone said something like that, if someone said, I loved, if they, I loved you, I'm lost, I would laugh, because I often get mistaken for that guy, that Jorge guy from Lost. I mean, you got to laugh at these. You can't take it too seriously.
No,
All right, next name, Ralphie May.
Ralphie May?
Yeah.
I think of fat when I think of him. He's a fat guy. I think he's lost some weight. But
we had his wife on the show a few weeks ago, Lana Turner, and they just seem like a really nice couple. I'm going to go see him in September in New Jersey for his stand-up show. Maybe I should take some boxers with me and throw them at him while he's doing his act.
he's a good comedian, man. He's definitely
very
a guy I look up to.
All right, last couple of names. Barack Obama.
You know what I just thought of? Martha's Vineyard, because that's where he is right now.
Yeah.
And, that's only a couple hours from me, so that's been in all the papers around here lately is him being there. So that's immediately I just thought of Martha's Vineyard.
No, everyone was not everyone, but some conservatives have criticized him lately for going on holiday again. Do you think it's justified to criticize him? Do you think he needs more holidays with his job and how stressful it is? Should people leave him the fuck alone? Or is it right that people are saying, most people can't afford to go on holiday once, never mind 10 times in a year, And this is
I can't even imagine what it's like, though. I mean, he's the president. It's got to be. He can't even take a dump without 3 people knowing about it. He needs a vacation. Everyone does.
Can you just imagine the Secret Service? The president is taking a dump.
I'm sure that's what they do. I'm sure he's taking a dump.
I'm sure too.
He had 2 cups of coffee today.
Be a very difficult existence, really. The president is undependented.
Yeah, and not to mention all the stuff that probably almost happens. There's probably like almost a nuclear war like once a week, and that we don't hear about.
Yeah. With the president's kids in the war room. Don't press that button. All right, last 2 names. Kim Kardashian.
Big fat ass. That's the first thing I thought of.
Did you hear there's been some really weird Kardashian news this week? She had a Twitter fight with Katie Couric, because Katie Couric sent her a nice dress for the kid, and then within a couple of days, some article was in some smut rag, and she said she could never understand the pull of people like Kim Kardashian, because she's not really talented, and her pull with regards to reality television, because she doesn't sing, she doesn't really act, she doesn't write, she doesn't, what does she actually do? She lays on her back and makes sex tapes and gets famous from it. Yeah.
Well,
I think we should make a sex tape, Will. Not necessarily together, but,
I'm down. If there's a camera, I'm always down to do anything. But I think,
me too.
I think with Kim Kardashian, it's like I don't know. Like I don't begrudge her fame or her money, but I do hate the effect it's kind of had on society. Like there's little girls out there that want to be Kim Kardashian when they grow up, and that's like about as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is a worry if your aspiration is to be Kim Kardashian. Did you also hear that they took her to court? That this guy, what's his name? I've got it written down. Some model that Khloe Kardashian. No, that they all begin with K, don't it? Kourtney Kardashian. It was rumored that her kid belonged to Michael Giorgenti, a model, and they just did a paternity test, and they found out that the kid did indeed belong to Scott Disick. Poor Mason. Said to him in 20 years with his therapist saying,
"Oh my God!
Yes, I was part of that Kardashian movement." I mean, I don't know what would have been worse for the kid, really.
No, it's messed up, man. It's not. I don't think it's going to end well for any of those people.
No, I don't, because they've what more can they do than they've done already? They've done it all, I just think because they didn't Chris just get a TV show, like a chat show? I mean, of all the people to give a chat show to, you would have thought that I would be better suited to a chat show than Kris Kardashian. I mean, what's she going to do? Just talk about what people think of the Kardashian show for the whole period of it?
That's going to be canceled within a week.
Yeah, let's face it. I mean, who would kind of really want to watch? No, I know I wouldn't. Joe just said in the chat room she thinks Arsenio is getting a nighttime show.
I was going to say that he is. He is getting a new show. I knew that.
And she says, poor Kardashians each end up with $100 million each, bitches.
Yeah.
I hope they choke on it. All right, well, very last name.
I love
celebrity. But I'm not bitter. Honestly, I'm not bitter, bitches. Last name in the celebrity word association, and that is Justin Bieber.
Oh, my God. Asshole. That's the word I think of.
Totally.
I think that
you see in the news he's supposed to be spitting on fans from his balcony. I mean, if that's true, that's pretty bad, really.
Nah, he's a piece of shit. Like he was a jerk. Like before, like I saw one of his early like Justin Bieber diaries or something. Before he was already pretty famous, but he wasn't like as famous as he is now. And he was already well on his way to becoming like a piece of shit. He was just a bratty kid then. I'm sure he would have been that way no matter what, but to have the amount of power and money he has, he's just a fucking asshole. You know, he probably would have been an asshole if he was a cab driver.
$1 million, $500 million. If you're listening, Justin, and you want to, if you want to be my sugar baby, you know, give me a call. 347-884-9061.
Yeah, his fans have gotten mad at me for some of the shit I've said about him on Twitter, but I
kind of, you know, and you can't say anything about Gaga either because the fans send you death threats. I don't have anything bad to say about her right now, but remember when she was going to do that deal with Target, and you know she's so pro-gay and stuff, and then she was going to do this deal with Target that was her a lot of money. And then she pulled out of it, thankfully. But when I was making comments during that, I got a couple of death threats. We're going to find you. We're going to kill you. You know, all that kind of shit. I mean, like, it's scary how loyal they are.
They're just teenagers. You know, teenagers.
Joe said something about who disrespected Bill Clinton. Are you talking about Justin Bieber still, Joe?
Yeah. He fucking he said fuck Bill Clinton. He saw a picture of Bill Clinton and he just said fuck Bill Clinton.
Really?
But it was on video.
I used to stick up for him and say, yeah, he's just a young kid and blah blah blah, and all kids his age are going to be smoking pot and X, Y, and Z.
That was the same night he peed in the bucket. Did you see that?
Yeah, I wasn't at a restaurant or something.
Yeah. So right after he peed in the bucket, he looked at some picture of Bill Clinton and said, "Fuck Bill Clinton."
Joe says he apologized, but it wasn't enough. I think this is the thing. I'm very outspoken. Not that you would have noticed, but yeah. I try and make sure that everything that I say is kind of at least fair and accurate. You know, if I think that someone is CUNT and I say that they're a CUNT, I actually want to have reason to be bitchy about them, and if I do, then that's fine. But I'm never attacking for no reason. And you know, it's like with Perez Hilton, you know, he's on Gaga's back right now, and he sent her a picture of her dead with Madonna holding the gun and things like that. I mean, I think it like that is kind of nasty. But he's been taken to court before. You know, he was taken to court by what's that DJ's name who dated Lindsay Lohan, Sam Rodson. And he got thrown out of court. He called her a lesbot, and he said that was his freedom of speech. You know, he was exercising his First Amendment rights, and he got away with it.
He can be quite a bully, that guy.
Yeah, I think so too. So I made up this poster. I made up a poster with him with all these 4 women because it only seems to be women that he picks on. He never dares pick on guys. Wasn't it will.i.am that punched him in the face at a gig or slapped him? Or, you know,
I remember that.
Guy, you know, for a change, and I think, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's bad really. Who won't accept their mom's calls right now? Are you talking Perez Hilton, Joe, or are you talking Justin Bieber won't accept his mom's calls? She's just written a book, hasn't she, or something about parenting, which I think is highly hilarious.
Yeah, she's had to mention a couple
Bieber
times.
won't take his right now.
She's had to kind of answer for him on a couple occasions.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a shame. Really, that lots of people that become famous really young, they kind of lose sight of what it's all about.
I don't blame him.
I kind of have no sympathy for him, really. You know, he's got 500 million to fall back on. But Justin Bieber was the last name in our celebrity word association. So we're coming to the end of the show. We'll tell people where they can find you. Tell us where your website is. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, if people want to check out my podcast, that'd be awesome. It's called Hi Pathetically, and it's 2 different words, hi and pathetically, and it's just kind of about the life of a stand-up comedian at the level that I'm at, which is like a working class kind of level. And that's fun. A lot of people like that. And you can just check out me and all my stuff at willnoonan.com. and follow me on Twitter if you like, Instagram, Vine, I got it all. So,
and what's your latest porn movie called, Will?
My latest porn movie is called 10,000 Maniacs on My Dick.
And every one of them female.
Yeah. Well, you have to see the movie. I don't want to spoil anything.
Are we getting you here, Will? Or did you have gay sex in your latest porn movie?
The thing is, the lights were off and I was blindfolded, so that's the way I do it.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it was
even
human.
Well, listen, Will, thanks so much for joining us today again on XANDERMONIUM. I can't even say the word. I hope you will come join us again very soon. I will get to an email saying, Will Noonan coming back on the show.
No, it was a pleasure, man, and thanks so much, and thanks to Joe for staying with us the whole time. And I'll come back on in a few weeks, man. This is one of my favorite shows to do, for sure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, as it were. So thanks again to the fabulous comedian Will Noonan. Take care, Will, and have a fabulous week.
You too, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, brother.
That was the fabulous comedian Will Noonan. Thanks to everyone in the chat who came to join us, the guests. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Tony. Thanks to Austin, who had to go. Thanks to everybody, and thanks to everybody for listening. My guest next week, I am pleased to announce, is Chef Roy Handler from the company Hot Mess, and he's also Chelsea Handler's brother. So that will be very interesting next week. I hope you'll come join us then. You can check out my website, www.xandergibb.biz. You can also buy my music now via my website, www.xandergibb.biz/music. And that's about it. Have a fabulous week. I hope you all will come and join us again next time, and I love you all. Bye.